Okay, now that we have our producer instantiated, let's load some generation parameters from the config file. So we do events per second is going to be our event generation, events per second. That is set there. And let's set up a sleep time of 1 second divided by the events per second. Okay, let's log it. That we're gonna start the event generation. Events per second. So let's say, okay, to the user, if you want to stop it, just Ctrl+C it. Press Ctrl+C to stop the producer. Let's just count it, the number of events we have. So we can actually now starting to generate it. Okay, so as you've seen, we're randomly selecting a region, but the partition routing is going to happen based on the message key or the user ID. So this is going to create an interesting distribution pattern. The users from a different region can end up in any partition, okay? The same user events always go to the same partition, but the load is distributed across partitions by the user activity, okay? So let's do a random region selection for these events. The region is going to be event generator.regions, and the event is going to be our event generator, generate purchase event. Now let's pass the region here. Okay, the key is going to be our event, user ID here. Now we're going to start the serialization process. So the key, we're going to serialize it with our key serializer, and the value serializer, we're passing now our event and its serialization context. So we have our serialization key and the serialized value. All right, so let's go ahead and produce it. Produce the message. The topic name, our key will be the serialized key. Our value is going to be the serialized value. And let's add a count to our event count. Now what you can do is like log the progress in the CLI so you can keep monitoring at each 10 events. So if our event count, like if the remainder by 10 equals to 0, we can log that. We can do f string, produce the number of events here, events. We can also say the last region, the user, we can also do the product, we can also say the amount, and we can also do the currency. right after it. Okay, so we can log all of this. We're gonna do a slip simulating like a rate limiting. So just because we're running it locally, want to ensure that we're not overwhelming the system during this development. But in production, you could like remove this like to get a maximum throughput. You can do more sophisticated rate limiting. You can implement a bunch of other techniques to like for back pressuring and things like this. Monitoring all of the producers like for any bottlenecks. But for now, we're just gonna do a time slip by the slip time was set up there. All right. We need to do it outside of this if. Okay. Now this is all inside our try. Now we need to run our exception if the user interrupts it. Let's do stopping producer. And then I can say total events produced, event count. And finally, we're gonna flush it. Flushing remaining messages. And we'll call producer dot flush. If we get this far, let's test it out. Awesome. So I have everything created. We're generating a random event based on our config file. We're mapping it to schema registry, and we're gonna randomly generating this event. So let's go ahead and run the event generator. A typo here. Should be rand int. Okay, so it's starting to send stuff. Produce 10 events, record successfully delivered, produce 10 events, 20 events, region US was the last, 30 events, region Asia, all of the products. So we can come here, go into our topic, shopstream purchase, and go to messages. And you'll see a lot of messages flowing in with the random creation. So the event ID, UUID, the user ID within that range, the region, one of the products, wireless malls, the quantity, amount, currency, and the timestamp. Okay, so if you refresh, you have more. Let me see if I can check the number of messages. So 152 messages consumed. Let's refresh. 176. So it's just flowing in. Okay. So that's working very well. I'm gonna come back here and I'm gonna stop it, because now we can see how we're going to load this from the consumer to the mini IO. So we need to consolidate and create a bunch of stuff for our mini IO client and our buckets. So let's go ahead, stop it, and then we'll start with the consumption of this data first with the implementation for our mini IO stuff in the next video.